Hi, writers. It's so good to see you again, back here for another episode of The Writing Process. So, today we are still in the beginning stages of the writing process. We are still doing some work with planning and pre writing. And one of the first steps that we need to take in deciding how this unit is going to play out is we're going to ask ourselves, what do you want to write about? What do you want to write? And what do you want to make? So that is the topic of our mini lesson today. And I'm going to show you some examples of what you might write about and what you could actually make. And then even like, who are you actually making it for? So let's think about those things as you watch me create this Google Doc. Okay, so when we think about the writing process, the first step is we need to ask ourselves these four questions. What are you going to write about? What are you going to write? What are you going to make? And who is it for? Now, I know that those first three seem like the same question over and over again, but it's really not. Let me tell you the difference and how we might answer these. So what are you going to write about is the topic. Now, I've been talking to you all a lot about what you like to write about. I know we like dogs. I know we like science topics. I know, I'm going to make sure this doesn't get pulled up too far. I know we like soccer and baseball. I know we like gymnastics. Almost every single person said they like to write about animals. What else? What else do we like to write about? Our siblings. I'm trying to think of all the conversations I've had with you over the last few weeks. Some people like to write about school. They like to write about food. There was definitely some food stuff in there. So when we think about what we're going to write about, that's the topic, right? So what is the topic that we're going to write? Now, the next question, what are you going to write? So that's more of like the genre, okay? So what are you going to write? You might write a poem. I know a lot of you love poetry. You might write a song that's kind of in the same vein as a poem. You might make a comic, like a little comic strip. You might create... hold on, let me think what I'm trying to say. I'm wrong, because you would make a comic. You might write a narrative piece. So that could be a narrative nonfiction, like a story from your real life. You might write a narrative, something that didn't really happen. It could be inspired by true events, so we call that realistic fiction. Those are two types of narrative writing. Some other kinds of narrative, but we call them genre specific. You might write a fairy tale. You might write a biography of someone. You might make a fantasy story. Fantasy or sci-fi, those usually kind of fall in the same category. You might write a review of something that's like your opinion. So a review of your favorite video game or movie or book. You might write a how-to article or a how-to piece. You might make an all-about piece. So if you're thinking about writing information, it would be all about something. Let me see, did I forget anything? Probably, but we can add on to this list later. So the next step, before we go to the next step, I want you to think about how these two questions, these two things kind of go together, right? So when we think about dogs, you could really make any of these things about the topic of dogs. You can make a poem about dogs, a song. You could tell, if you have a dog, you could tell a story about your dog, about something that happened in real life. If you don't have a dog, or even if you do, you could make a story that didn't actually happen, but it could happen about a dog. You could make a fairy tale about a dog, of course. You could write a biography. I guess if there was a famous dog, then you could write the story of their life. You could write fantasy or sci-fi, absolutely. Talking dogs, hello. You could write a review of a dog. Maybe like you could talk about the best kind of breed of dogs, right? That would do that. How to take care of a dog, or all about dogs, right? That would be informational. Let's try with another one of these. Maybe school, right? Could you write a poem about school? Yep. A song? Yes. Narrative nonfiction? Yeah. A story about a time you were in school. Realistic fiction? Yes. You could write a story about a kid in school. Fairy tale about school? Yeah, I think that could work. A biography of someone? I don't know. Maybe if it was like a biography of a teacher or someone famous that has to do with schools, maybe. That biography one's a little tricky. Fantasy or sci-fi about school? Absolutely. A review of a school? Yes. You could even review our school or a different school you've been to. A how-to book about school? For sure. So think about all the things you learn in school, and you could write like how to learn things, how to go to school, lots of different things within there. And an all about school, yeah. So really any topic you're going to think of that you want to write about can fit into most of these things, but it's up to you to decide what are you going to write. Then once you know what you're going to write, you got to think about what you might make. So there's the obvious one. You could make a book, right? So that could be a paper book. You could make an ebook on Book Creator. You could make a Google slideshow. You might make what's the word I'm looking for? A compilation. If you're making a lot of songs. Oops, I have some wrong spellings. See, even teachers make mistakes. You might make a poster, like an information poster. Sometimes we call those an infographic. You might make a comic strip, which is similar to like a graphic novel. You could make a picture book. You might make a one-page essay or one-page writing piece with just only paragraphs on it. You might make, what else? A letter. So if you're maybe writing a review of something, you might actually like think about writing that to one person. So those are some ideas of what you can make. Then the last thing you want to write, you want to think about is who are you actually making it for, right? If you are just making it for no one, then what's the point? So once you know the topic, what you're going to write, what you're going to make, then you got to think about who is going to benefit from this? Who is actually going to read this? So it might be your friends. It might be your parents. It might be your teacher, me, or Mr. S or Mr. A. It might be the principal. It might be just like the general public, right? If you're making a review of a video game or something and you just want everyone to read it. So it might be all kids. It might be all adults. It might be, you might be writing something to your siblings, maybe something about your family. You could write something to your aunts and uncles, right? So this is kind of like the people. Who is this thing you are creating? Who is it going to be for? I'll add on your classmates. And it shouldn't just be because it's on the list, right? So if you think about, you want to make a fairy tale about baseball and you're going to make it into a poster and you're planning on giving it to your siblings, but you know your siblings don't actually like baseball or fairy tales. Like those don't really match up, right? So once you decide on these first three questions, then think about who will enjoy reading that. And that's really going to help to guide your writing. Okay, I know this video is already super long and I want to end it here, but we have our list of ideas to maybe get your thinking started. By the end of writing time today, I want you to decide on answers for these 4 questions, okay? So I will link this list into the assignment sheet. I will link it onto the YouTube channel, and I will find a way where you can respond to these questions so that I know how I can guide you on your path to creating a published piece. Have a great time for your independent writing. Enjoy!